Welcome to the Humanities E3 2014 retrospective cake. I'm CJ, your Commodore Garden fruitcake base. With me as ever is the luscious frosting of Patrick Stardust.
I like to think I'm a carrot cake, but continue.
Okay. And the Groovemeister cherry on the cake is our special guest, Joshua Garrity from Cane and Rinse. Welcome, Josh.
Hi, it's a pleasure. First time on this podcast. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool. So we're going to rattle into E3. We're thinking 2 podcasts, so we're going to go through the shows and don't know. Firstly, expectations going into to E3. Were you excited for it, or some people were like E3?
Well, I always get quite excited for E3. The last couple of years, I've tried to watch all the shows, and like last year particularly was something special, wasn't it? Last year particularly was just the best drama you could watch.
Yeah, but that's because your uncle PlayStation.
Yeah, it smashed it, and I was sitting there grinning like a dick at 4 a.m, going, "This is the best thing I've ever seen." I enjoy the theatre of it, and I like the idea. I like the idea of staying up and watching them all, and having a secret scorecard and working out who won. It's great.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was just because I don't really have a loyalty to anyone. Like, I like all the game companies and whatever, but it was exciting to see everyone get competitive again last year. Like, Sony were just like, okay, you thought we were going to do this? No, we're going to do the complete opposite. And then seeing Microsoft have a panic attack and backtrack on everything they said they were going to do. That was really exciting. But having said that, there weren't many games last year that really excited me, and I feel like this is what this year provided. There was a large focus on in all the conferences and everything around E3 on the games more than anything else, and that was really exciting to see.
It's been interesting since the previous Microsoft conference that everything that they tried to force on people, thinking that folks would just accept it. There's been climb down after climb down after climb down, and then Phil Spencer coming on board, who was really the games guy at Xbox anyway, and it left me intrigued as to how Microsoft would come out fighting for this one. Yet there was a general feeling on the net that people were still angry at Microsoft. There was a real feeling that they'd been let down.
Like, I see what you mean. Like, a lot of people saying things along the lines of, they've got to redeem themselves this year. They've got to listen to what we want. And I think they did.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the conference. The thing is, there were a lot of games during their conference that aren't necessarily targeted at me and my interests, but they were targeting people who loved video games first and foremost, and that was good to see. That was healthy to see. And plus, there were a bunch of indie games during their conference too.
I was surprised.
Inside and... Was Below Ons? I don't think it was.
Flashed
Below,
up briefly, yeah.
It flashed up briefly, but it was mainly like stuff like Inside that got a major presence on their conference. I was really happy to see Microsoft for once really focus on the games more than anything else.
Well, I think it's good for the industry when there is this much competition. I think if there's anything that we saw throughout E3 was I thought all 3 companies had a really, really good show. And when they're all at the top of their game like that, that's fantastic. But with regards to Microsoft and the anger that had been there within the last year, I think if you look throughout the history of video games, companies get to the top, they become complacent, they fuck up, and it's how they fight back. I mean, you look at Sony a number of years ago, and the PlayStation 3 will get a second job. Snippet, which was bizarre, and Sony had been on top, obviously, with PlayStation 1 and 2. So, and now they're back in a position of confidence. But often you can find that will just lead to people slipping up a little as well. So
I feel like Sony have learnt their lesson, though, judging from their press conference this year. It feels like, okay, we're not we understand now that the gaming audience are fickle, so we're gonna make sure we keep our lead instead of losing it to arrogance like they did last time.
I thought the Xbox conference kicked off first then, and I thought the most interesting note immediately was that Phil Spencer was on the ground floor. He wasn't on the stage. He was actually right there in front of the people, not talking down to you, just kind of, I don't know, he seemed very approachable. He seemed very excited. He still got that element of suits, even though it wasn't sort of suit jackets and T-shirts for him this time. It was some sort of Ponzi cardigan affair.
Yeah, but you have to be careful there because that's how UKIP get people. You know, he's a bloke, he's down the pub, he's got a pint, he's just like one of you.
Well, it was going through my mind all throughout the conference, like, who does he remind me of? And then it was like, he looks like Michael McIntyre. And he was doing that all throughout. He was doing that kind of flicky thing with his hand, like the hand dryer was broken in the toilet beforehand, which is very, very bizarre. So,
I liked his various costume changes as well. He wore like 4 T-shirts over the course of the night, and it's like when he came out in the Limbo T-shirt, I thought, I wonder what he's going to talk about now.
I found that very silly. I just wish he'd pick a shirt and stick
It's like,
with it.
you're not fucking Katy Perry, okay?
Yeah.
You're a guy doing a games presentation. You don't need a wardrobe.
Or they could have taken the piss out of themselves and just had sort of really glittery jackets, like drop from hangers from the ceiling, just slowly lowered, and then he could put another one on and then walk on to the next game. That would have been wonderful. I'm not sure quite how the Dude Bros would have reacted, but we press on. So they launched straight into the games with Call of Duty Advanced Warfare with quite a lengthy little demo, and the punchline of exclusive time DLC, which COD's always really had on Xbox anyway.
Ding, that's one.
So what did you make of what was shown?
Visually, it looks impressive, but unfortunately, I'm past the point where visual fidelity is enough to excite me. So, apart from its visuals, it kind of just looks like another Call of Duty game to me. There are slight differences. It looks like they've taken some inspiration from Titanfall with the double jump and stuff like that. And
there's running on walls as well, isn't
robot
there?
suits.
But the thing that's appealing to me about Titanfall is that it doesn't take itself very seriously. It's just crazy robots shooting each other. Isn't this amazing, ladies and gentlemen? Whereas Call of Duty still is still very po-faced, and it has all that crazy stuff. And it's harder to stomach that insanity. And to be honest, it's hard to stomach the insanity that's been in most of the Call of Duty games since Modern Warfare because it's so self-serious. But that said, I mean, I'm sure, like, none of the Call of Duty games have been outright terrible. They're all playable and they work and what have you. It's just at this point I'm kind of bored of what they're selling.
Yeah, they had a couple of cool moments in them. Like there was every now and again, like with that little movable shield that would pop down that you could shoot over and then would pop back up.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool. And the little grenade that you could change what kind of grenade it was by hitting a little button on top. It's like, oh, I don't want to throw this. This is cool. Let me keep this.
Folks do seem to really rate Sledgehammer games. And I've heard a lot of bits from the likes of Matt Lees on Twitter where he said that he visited them a number of years ago and they seem like very, very smart people. And as I understand it, didn't they have a Call of Duty game that was going to be third person, which was canned?
I'm not sure on that, to be honest.
Sounds familiar.
Are Sledgehammer Games the guys who made the first 2 Dead Space games? I'm trying to... No, that's Visceral. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting my developers mixed up. Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what they pull out of the bag. But I was quite surprised pleasantly by the sort of more sci-fi leanings of it. But I tend to get the feeling that Activision, all of their eggs are in the Destiny basket at the moment, simply because of how much money they've invested in it.
Yeah. I did see as well, something that kind of stuck out a bit for the Call of Duty trailer is that whoever was playing it, God, they were taking their time. They were just strolling along, going, I might shoot that guy over there in a minute. I'm just gonna look at him first.
They wanted to show off the new and innovative gameplay that was on offer on the latest Call of Duty game, so they had to take their time.
There's a guy over here, right? Wait for it. I think we're gonna shoot him.
Yeah, it was just like your friend's dead. I don't know if that was one of those things where everyone was supposed to go like, "Oh, my heart's involved," but no, it didn't really surprise me.
NPC7. Oh no! Although the bit where he dragged him away and the arm stayed still was a pretty good. I see what he did there. I actually watched the show with a pal of mine came around and we sort of watched a couple of the shows together. We both were sitting on my sofa and we both went, okay, you can have that moment, Call of Duty, where he left the arm behind. Fair play, well done.
So then they went into a double car moment, I believe, Forza 5 and Forza Horizon 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, car games are the absolute worst to advertise, because I think that's a genre that you really need to get your hands on to get an idea of how good it is. Because in trailers and gameplay demos, car games kind of all look the same. It's the feel that really makes the difference. So, you know what? They might be good, but there's no way of telling based on the footage they showed us.
Because I
completely agree. Yeah.
I've heard good things about the first Forza Horizon. I've heard a lot of folks that really rate it. But for me, as someone that's not a car enthusiast, I always got more excited by the likes of the cars in Burnout, because they weren't specific, but they just seemed kind of cool because of that. And I know I'm in the minority with that, but yeah, I do miss that kind of racing game. Well, it's not all about, I'm driving the Baked Bean 357.
Well, with the special trim.
Absolutely.
The Burnout games are much more arcadey, and I think that kind of style of play is better suited to trailers and stuff like that, because then you can show off all the crashes and the explosions and stuff like that. But with Forza, it's just like, ooh, look at the car, it's so pretty, isn't it? And for somebody like me who's not really bothered about the cars, I just care about the racing, that's not that interesting. But
look at this sunburst. Ooh.
They did look incredibly pretty, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I was quite taken aback by the Forza 5 stuff in particular. It just looked gobsmacked. It looked like you were watching an episode of Top Gear or something. It was, without the three amigos.
But then again, cars are no offense to the people who make car games, but they are very easy to make look good. They're always the stuff that you see first at the beginning of a generation, where you go, "Ooh, that looks really good," because cars are just so easy to make look good.
Yeah, and the environments don't even have to look that good, because that's all you get to see. Right? Oh, look at this nice feature. No, it's gone. Okay, bye.
That's not to take away from how good they look, though. They do look really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, that they're one of the easier things to get.
I agree. I think
waiting to see that same evolution that's hit Call of Duty, where somebody debuts a car game and they're like, "Yeah, if you press this button, guns come out," and the part of me that played Road Blasters as a kid goes, "Fucking yes!" So that would be awesome. But hold on, wasn't that nobody played that when it came out? Was it Blur?
Oh, Mario Kart with real cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it was alright. I never actually got around to it. I was a split second man myself, but
yeah, I did play it. It was good, but it's not Mario Kart. But yeah.
Right, so we went into Evolve then, which was kind of a fighty Valve thing.
Yeah.
Exclusive beta and DLC on Xbox, and you could play as the guys or as the baddie.
Best fucking logo I've ever seen. God, that every time I see that logo, like I just sit there and I just marvel at how clever and how easy and simple, but just like everything about the game, you can learn it from the logo. Brilliant.
I don't. You mentioned it was Valve. It's actually Turtle Rock Studios, but they are they are people who used to work on Left 4 Dead. Yeah. So that's I can see where you made that mistake, but it's Sorry, I was trying to say that without being insulting, but it just came out as insulting anyway.
It's fine, I'm just getting nipping.
Get your Gamer Studios right, you prat.
I was going through my head there, like, how can I say that without sounding like an
It's
arsehole?
okay, we're all friends here. The thing
But,
is, it's quite difficult to, excuse me, inverted cough. It's quite difficult to display that kind of game on just a little presentation, because I don't know, it's all down to the feel, I guess. But
Yeah.
I didn't get much out of the trailer. What I did get a lot out of in that game is a while ago there was like a 20-minute, half an hour, like sort of commentaried up full, full mission of it.
all right,
Showing, the 4 different guys running around and the monster, and it kind of flipped back and forward, and they were explaining what was going on. Like, okay, so at the start, the monster's running away, and you got to eat people to make himself stronger, and then the trapper throws this up, which traps the monster in, and they go around, and it kind of really informative, and you watch it, and you think, oh, okay, that's how that works. Right, brilliant, and that was great, but I don't think it's the sort of thing you could do at an E3 show.
Yeah, I'm confident it will be at least an interesting game, seeing as
Definitely.
it's ex-Left 4 Dead devs. And I think it's easy to forget how different the first Left 4 Dead was from other multiplayer games that were out there when it came out. So I'm hoping to see a similar, shift in what we think of co-op gameplay being with this game. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. Unfortunately, it's just not the kind of game that does well in an E3 environment.
I mean, that said, on the other side of it, that of that sort of genre, I thought Splatoon came across really well, and I will get into that sort of a little further down the line, but that displayed its mechanics and its differences really well, even within the E3 conference, never mind sort of beyond it. So, yeah. We then went into Assassin's Creed Unity, 4-player co-op, create your own brotherhood, no women lols, as I believe the internet has exploded over. Yeah.
Which one of these videos? Because there was about 5 over the course of the evening. Which bit did they show this time?
I think the first one was just the lead in, and then the assassins going through.
They're killing a white-faced man.
Yeah, they were killing sort of a judge-looking mofo. Yeah, that was it. They wandered through the crowd, and then they climbed up into the palace-type building and hunted him down. And I know a few comments were raised with people speaking about glitches and that it didn't look that great. But honestly, I watched it and I was like, cool, that looks fun.
Yeah. Did you see how many people were in the crowd scenes? Like, you on the sort of zoomed out, you look at it thinking, all of those people there, that's pretty impressive. And like the very first moment when he's hanging off the building and just kind of flips and jumps down in kind of cool ways we've not seen them do before. And you go, oh, okay, yeah, go on then, all right, I could do that, yeah. And I think that's a few moments like that during the trailer popped up. You'd see them do a cool thing. You're like, I could enjoy that cool thing. But the thing that kills it for me, and always probably will kill it for me, is the fact it's probably not local co-op, which is all I wanted out of an Assassin's Creed game. So me and Laura could sit on the sofa and stab dudes together. We just want it to be co-op, and it's never going to be couch co-op. And that's just the way the world is these days. And we don't really want to buy another TV and PS4.
Yeah, I can understand that.
We've done that once, and that's always, I don't know, I'm kind of getting to a point. I mean, I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I really, really like the series. I bought all of them, I've pretty much rinsed every single damn one of them.
Nice pun considering the guest.
Thanks. I'm here all night. But this is the first one where I'm just kind of a little bit, I don't know, I don't care. Yeah, I just, it'll come out, but I'm not that fussed about it. Whereas, the last one, Black Flag, I was like, put that in my blood. Just liquidize it and feed it to me. It was, because I remember when Assassin's Creed 3 came out, I think I wrote a review for it, and in my review was, if they make a whole game out of the pirate ship, I will buy it and I will play it. They fucking listened! Whereas this time, it's like, oh, you can play with 4 friends online. And I think that's a big theme I've noticed this year, is if you've got 4 friends online, you're in for a good time. But if you don't have 4 friends online, you're out of luck.
I think my major disappointment, and I think this is a lot of people's disappointment with the Assassin's Creed series, is that they keep picking European settings with similar architecture and weapons that are quite like so swords. Like apparently guns were meant to be a big deal in 3, but there were guns in 2 and Brotherhood as well, just less advanced. And it's really disappointing to see that they're not challenging themselves with settings like Japan or ancient Egypt or ancient Rome or something like that. Something that's really dramatically different from what they've done before. But I think they're just a bit afraid to change, because it's a formula that's worked for them financially. It's like up there with Call of Duty in terms of sales figures. But I don't know. I think it's series like that where you can afford to take a risk because it's the name that sells it rather than the game itself, if that makes any sense. So I don't know.
Or the fact they've got people like me hooked in on the weird metafiction.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should mention about the cities themselves, because when I was getting into the games, I was told to go straight into 2 because the first one wasn't very good. And I like getting in on a ground floor of a series and then seeing how it evolves. And I picked up the first one for about $3.99, so it was like, yeah, great. And I played it, and I really enjoyed the first one. I didn't think it was perfect, and I thought the story was absolute balls. But I think often in games like that, your level of immersion is in the city being a character. And, going up on a horseback and sort of getting to the top of a hill and seeing the rooftops of Jerusalem. I mean, I'm not a religious guy at all, but there was a real sense of like, oh my God, like I haven't been there in games before.
And
you could say about the repetitive tasks that were there and stuff, but I enjoyed climbing those spires. I enjoyed going through those little sort of holes in the roofs, and I enjoyed my time there because I was engaged by the city. And when I got to the second one, I was laughing at the start. It seemed very, very well scripted. But when I got to Italy, I was bored by the city. It didn't hold my attention as much as the likes of Jerusalem.
Did you not like the home base, Monteriggioni?
I don't even know if I got that far. I just sort of started playing.
Oh man, that place was like home to me after a while. I loved that place.
I think Assassin's Creed 2 is really slow to get going. Some of the better, like Florence, was a really great location in that game, and I forget you go to Venice at some point in that game, don't you? As well,
do. Yeah.
Those were really great locations, but I kind of feel the opposite, mainly because I think I'm more interested in that period of history, the Renaissance period. Like, I really, really liked Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood. Also, mainly because I think Ezio's the best character they've had in that series. He was kind of a Han Solo, ladies' man type character, whereas Altair at the beginning is kind of just a one-note badass, like a boring one-note badass.
And Connor's just miserable.
Connor's miserable. They kind of recaptured Ezio's vibe in Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag. But still, I think Ezio edges out. I've forgotten his name. What's the character's name in 4?
Edward Kenway.
Edward Kenway. I still think Ezio edges him out. But, I don't know. I like the Assassin's Creed series, but I keep wishing they'd challenge themselves. I just keep going, come on, do something really different.
Do something in World War II or something, come on.
World War II would be really interesting, because then they'd have to scrap the melee combat completely. They'd have to go with something completely different. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting that there's the criticisms levelled that they're playing things safe with being in France this time, and yet you'd have thought for such a big series, especially one which has monitored fan reaction, which is the reason that Black Flag came out in the way it did, because people enjoyed the ship combat in 3, and they wanted more of an open world. To listen to fans who are baying for, let's have Japan. It's like, why wouldn't you listen to that fan base if all of it, if the majority of it's going, we'd really like to play that, we will throw money at you, because Assassin's Creed makes a huge amount for Ubisoft, which they can then invest elsewhere, and they're focused upon doing the yearly thing, so why not?
I think also, despite the fact that there are a large amount of ninjas in the video game industry, there are very few ninjas that actually behave like ninjas, apart from like Tenshu and Mark of the Ninja. I can't, like, those are the only two examples I can think of ninjas behaving like ninjas. Ninja Gaiden, that's not a ninja.
No.
That's some kind of superhuman freak that I don't know. Ryu, Hayabusa, you're basically Superman. But it would be exciting to see like that team who have shown that they can it is kind of hyper reality, but it's closer than a lot of games who try to emulate history have gotten to that, gotten to reality. So it would be nice to see them take on ninjas because, you know, they're the most famous assassins in history. So that would be cool. But
I think they could adapt the hood sort of really well to the ninja costume though as well.
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
imagine it quite well. But isn't there another Assassin's Creed that's coming out for PS3 and 360?
Like Comet or something?
Yeah.
With that little movable shield that would pop down that you could shoot over and then would pop back up. That was kind of cool. And the little grenade that you could change what kind of grenade it was.
We then went into Dragon Age Inquisition, of which I just remember noting that I don't like the look of Western fantasy as much as I do Japanese Western fantasy and a crap dragon battle. And I remember tweeting at the time that like Calamite would have ended everybody within seconds in this battle, and it was just like slow moving dragon goes towards the ground and it's in the sky again, and then it lands and directs its fire straight ahead of it. It's like Calamite would have been backflipping at this point, twanging you with its tail, breathing fire at you.
It's like, go on, dragon, you can do it. Oh, he missed, but he tried.
Calamite.
Now, I actually, because the footage they showed at the Microsoft conference didn't really impress me that much.
No.
But then I looked up some of the footage they were showing on the show floor, and the more and more I learnt about it and saw about it, the more impressed with Dragon Age 3 I got. I kind of agree with you that I like Japanese art. I think this goes beyond just fantasy. I just kind of prefer Japanese art design more than Western art design. But that said, I think Dragon Age 3 looks a lot better than the previous two Dragon Age games. Dragon Age 1, like, I know a lot of people love it, but it looks hideous. It's an ugly game. I'm not talking about graphics here. I'm talking about art design. The art design in Dragon Age is rubbish.
But what put me off about Dragon Age 1? Words. Yeah. All of the words. Hey, look, read all these words. Like, I just want to kill a guy. Come on!
The design philosophy around Dragon Age is completely different than, say, something like Dark Souls. Like, they want you to see their story and see it in detail.
They're telling me everything. It's like,
I know.
Curate it a bit.
And that's the hilarious thing is that Dark Souls tells you so little, but so much of it stays in your head.
Yeah.
Whereas Skyrim and Dragon Age tell you so much, and so much of it you forget
Instantly.
Yeah.
What are we doing again?
That said, I do think Dragon Age and Dragon Age 2 were well written, and they had some characters that were memorable. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested. I'm not excited, but I'm interested to see what they do with Dragon Age 3.
So what
would you say you were inquisitive?
What?
It's a terrible title. But what turned your head from the footage that you saw from the show floor?
I think it was more just they gave a more detailed description of what was going on. Like, for example, you could target, with the dragon battles, you could target different sections of the dragon and slowly weaken it. So it wasn't about, like, lowering its health bar. It's like, let's disable its legs so it's slower and stuff like that. That really interested me. Plus, the world is completely open in a way it hasn't been before. You can have, like, your horsey horse. I'm a big fan of riding horsey horses in games.
Yeah.
I mean, Shadow of the Colossus is my favourite game of all time. It features the best horsey horse of all time. Yeah, so that impressed me. Just like the way they handle the party system, where you can just swap between characters instantly and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I mean it's no Bloodborne. We'll probably get onto that later,
Mhm.
but yeah, it looked more impressive than previous attempts at this series.
I think they've got a fair swing at the release date as well, because there's really not a lot out on next gen consoles yet. So for a game which I'd still think the original game was still a little bit of a niche fan base, maybe, even given sort of how popular BioWare are.
Yeah. Was it due for this year or next year?
I think it's this year. It's about October time, isn't it?
Oh wow! So literally the year when nothing's 2015 is going to be the best year of gaming ever. This year, not so much.
So,
Well, we've had some great games, but I think 2015 is looking like the 2007 of this generation.
Definitely.
Where everyone decides to release their great games all at once.
We're getting another Mirror's Edge. I mean, it's perfect.
So next we had Sunset Overdrive, or for Paddy's Sony / Ratchet and Clank love, My Ex Is Cheating on Me.
Yeah, man, I was so bummed out. I'm really kind of annoyed that that's Xbox exclusive because I want that. It looks like it's got the big stupid guns that Ratchet and Clank does. It's got the charm. It's got the humour. It looks like it plays well as well. It just like, oh come on, let me have it as well.
I love the reveal of that trailer where it looked like a Call of Duty thing, and he just sort of burst in.
I knew something was up. I knew something was up because you're watching it thinking this guy's face is too animated. Like he's too kind of cartoon for this to be a serious trailer. What's happening? Oh, he's sliding in on a door. Okay, I get it now.
But I just thought it looked fun. I mean, I think there's only so much you can truly show off with that game, but it looked like one of those that when you got your hands on it, it'd probably just be a massive laugh, and there'd probably be quite a lot more to it than they could show. But I liked the way that when you shot the enemies, that when they went pop, you saw the word pop in there, and
the brrr when you shot the freeze gun.
Yeah, and they're sort of sliding on rails like Infamous, and it just looked like it. Yeah, it just looked like a game that. I mean, well, speaking of that, I mean, there's always wonderful amounts of guns in their games anyway.
Oh yeah.
But it just looked like a game that I could sit down with at home, and in the same way as I was when I was watching the show, I was smiling watching it, and I just thought, that looks fun.
Do you know what it looked like? It reminded me of Tony Hawk, like the earlier Tony Hawk games that were just big silly combo time. Like, okay, or it reminded me of Wet as well, like a game that I really liked and no one else seems to, but that had the same sort of, right, you're going to kill all the guys, but you're going to do it in a combo, and you're going to have to stay on the walls the entire time, but it's probably going to be fine.
I think the thing that's most important for me watching that footage is that it is stupid and crazy, but it seems like a mechanically tight game as well.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many games that are like, oh, we're just crazy, you can do whatever you want, and like the actual gameplay is kind of dull after half an hour, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where it's all show and no substance. Whereas Sunset Overdrive looked like it had some depth there, just with, you know, the wall running and the combos of the weapons and stuff like that. And having, you know, played their previous games, like Ratchet and Clank Crack in Time is one of my favourite games of all time.
Yes!
And if it's anything like that, then I'm super excited.
Also, I think it was the first game to kind of break out of the super serious Microsoft mold. It was the first one where I kind of went, there's a flavour that's been laid down, and on another side, it's kind of nice to see, hopefully, Ted Price returning to form a little bit, because they used to be such a prominent developer, and they've lost the way a little bit of late.
Also, it was nice to see that the Xbox One has got colours in it. Like, hey guys, look, primary colours.
Well, speaking of that, one of the greatest titles of any game ever, we then had free DLC in Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha.
What? Literally, that is the greatest title, and they know that Street Fighter HD 2 Turbo whatever was like ridiculous, and they've gone, okay, let's one up that.
That just looked awesome. I mean, I'd still really like to play that Dead Rising 3. Even given the footage that I've seen, it just looks like something that I could twat about with and mindlessly quite enjoy.
Yeah.
But if you bring in sort of Street Fighter characters and stuff like that into it,
It wasn't just Street Fighter though. Like, you thought they could have just gone easy and just put Street Fighter and like Mega Man costumes in.
Yeah.
They put in like
Everything.
Regina from Dino Crisis, for Christ's sake.
Really?
Yeah, she was in there. Fucking
saw
Hagar was in there.
I saw the tofu.
Tofu? Yeah, like they know what we want and they're giving it to us.
And it's free apparently for
Is
the
it?
people that already own the game. And I don't know if it's folks that already own the game or have already bought the
The dull season pass that I've heard so much
well,
about.
if it's the season pass, they'd obviously get it free anyway. But they made a big deal about the fact that it was free DLC. So game on. I'd like more of that.
That's how you sell a DLC pack. That's how you do it. And I think again, me and me pal were sitting on the sofa, and we were both kind of getting more and more worked up with every subtitle that came up, going, oh, they're doing it. Oh, they're going to full EX Alpha. Yeah.
What do you make of it, Josh?
I have to admit I'm not the biggest Dead Rising fan, so it looked really cool, but I doubt I'll be playing it just because I'm not a huge fan of the gameplay in the Dead Rising series. But yeah, I appreciate that it was cool for everyone else.
But it was a continuation, I think, of the same sort of bright colour and giggles that were put forth in Sunset Overdrive. So it was nice to see that at Sunset Overdrive not just being a little bit of difference in there. It was a continued theme.
Yeah,
back to the shootmans. Oh.
Well, next in the first of an ongoing series of Don't Mention Connect was Disney Fantasia Music Evolved, of which the guy on stage genuinely looked like he was trying not to cry because he developed this game thinking that Connect was going to be a big part of Microsoft's push, and that's no longer true.
Like, so, yeah, we're making this Kinect game. It's better than the rest, honestly. Please buy Kinect. Yeah, it feels like just suddenly, with the way they took that out, it's like the paradigm of games like that is suddenly like gone from something that everyone can buy to something that not many people will buy from this point on, I think. I don't know. I don't, like I said, I've never had an Xbox or a Kinect, so I don't know what the attach rates are like, but I can't see it doing brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like Harmonix. I think they make great games, and for all their detractors, I actually think the Dance Central games are the closest we've gotten to a really great dancing game ever. But yeah, I can't see this game selling, especially now that the Kinect is not actually included in the box with the Xbox One. I just don't think people are interested in motion controls anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I was round my pal Sean's house last night having a little go with the Xbox One. Yeah, it doesn't work, does it? Xbox, go to Titanfall, and it would just sit there. Xbox, go to Titanfall, please?
Thing is, I wonder if they're going to have a real crack into that UI now that Kinect isn't a feature, because apparently when you're using the joypad, it's a bit of a hassle. It's almost been designed so that you use your mouth instead of your thumbsticks. So I could see that incoming, definitely.
Yeah.
So we then went to Fable Legends, which was a world of British accents and laughs, and people can control the characters and someone can control the arena. And I did get a kind of feeling when I was watching it that it might be free to play.
Don't know. Not certain on that. Maybe the character controlling the arena could be free to play on like a tablet, but not sure. I couldn't call that one. It looked interesting. It looked fun.
Yeah, it was well humoured and stuff. I think I warmed to it a little more as it went along, but it's not something that I'd play personally. It's like, why wouldn't you listen to that fan base if all of it, if the majority?
The best thing about it was the sorceress using her ice powers. That was it. Like everything, I was kind of bored watching it up until the point where she froze a guy and then he shattered to pieces, and I was like, yes, I'll probably play this at some point just for that.
That's all it takes, is it? That little plug-in, just like
ice.
Right, and
awesome.
poof, and done, and put the disc away and never look at it again. Right.
Yeah.
So then we whooshed into what seemed like a really a fun presentation and a rather nice little look at Project Spark, and then with the exclamation mark of "Hey, you remember Rare?"
Oh,
right at the end
that's a divisive moment at the end
Conker
there.
moment, because I never played Conker, but I kind of gulped a little bit at seeing that. But to then look at Twitter and see so many people going like, "What? Why would you do that? Why?"
Yeah. I think like I'm not the biggest Conker fan either, but I understand the weight of that character, so and especially among the Kane and Rince crew, because I'm sure you know that Darren Gargett is a huge Conker fan. So to hear him on Twitter go, "Why you just ruined my childhood? Why don't you?" It's really sad, but. They're never gonna. They can't do another Conker game. That like it's so far away from the tone that Microsoft is trying to establish with their console. Like I don't know. Maybe we'll see another Conker game, but it just seems like his time is over.
Yeah, it was that moment of it's Conker, and oh wait, no, I know what this means. Oh,
it's a shame that took away from the actual little presentation that went before it, because I thought it was really well done. The storytelling within the two characters creating worlds for each other was really well done, and I thought that it looked like quite an interesting little creation tool.
Well, I do have one testimony of someone I know that's played it.
Yeah, but
again,
that's just beta, isn't it?
My pal Sean. It's not as easy as they've made it look, apparently. Nowhere even close. You see the big swooshy videos where, right, 5 minutes, right, here's an entire island populated with everything. No. But that's just one guy's view. I didn't see it personally. I'm tentatively on the fence about it. It might be good. Yeah. What was next?
Right, we then went into the first moment in any of the conferences where I actually cried. And that was a game I hadn't even heard of before the conference, and that was Ori and the Blind Forest, with what looked like a little Stitch-like creature, along with a giant sort of monster type, and their adventures in a dark forest, and then what seemed like the monster or the larger creature dying, and then the little one sort of curling up in the forest on its own. And I genuinely teared up. It just looked magical. It looked like the sort of maybe it put me in mind a little bit of Papa and Yo and sort of an Ico Shadow of the Colossus kind of thing. It just looked beautiful.
Oh God, do you think this is what Last Guardian's become? That's why they've been so quiet about it. It's now an Xbox indie game. Sorry, guys.
I mean, I don't know a lot about the game other than the footage that I saw, but it really intrigued me, and for something to affect my heart that much, and for me to be involved before I picked it up, you've got me.
It looked very Ubi art as well. Like it looked a lot like the Rayman Legends engine in there. I wasn't sure. When you watch it and you think, is it close? And particularly the bit where you've got the little glowing Stitch guy jumping about and sort of wall jumping. It's like that is Rayman right there. And that's okay with me, because those games are great.
It had a giant owl in it, so I'm on board.
Yeah, if there's a certain point where that giant owl turns someone into ice, it's breaking top 10 for Josh.
Yeah. No, on a serious note, I share many of your thoughts on the game. Like, it looked really good. And, everyone knows I'm all for the... more story-driven games and stuff like that. So it looks right up my street.
But we were talking about the colours that have been introduced into the Microsoft conference. That there was the big, bright, jolly feel of Sunset Overdrive and the Dead Rising 3 DLC. Well, this was the first one which warmed my heart. And again, at that point, I was thinking, wow, you've got a few twists and turns here, Microsoft. And I was really enjoying the conference.
Yeah, like they had me at this point. Like I've never really been a Microsoft person. This is known. Try and be impartial, but I'm not. And yeah, they had me. I was like, yeah, keep showing more of this. This is good. This is what I want to play. This is good.
So then Microsoft rolled out the first of their big guns, where they unveiled fully the Master Chief Collection, all games remastered. Now I presume Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo 3 and Halo 4 are just kind of upscales and pushed to 60 frames per second, and 2 is getting its own anniversary edition. But they said that all of the maps ever made for Halo multiplayer are going to be available at 60 frames per second. The disc's also going to include Ridley Scott's Halo Nightfall TV series, which leads into Halo 5, and it also includes the Halo 5 beta in December, and that's all on one disc for about 40 odd quid. Tip my hat to you, Microsoft. That's fucking ace. As a Halo nerd from years gone by, who was getting really quite sad that, perhaps I wasn't going to play like the next installment. That to me was a flag waved, which made me go, and building upon everything that came before in the conference, that actually made me go, yeah, I might have to get one of these. Plus, the amount of value that they put into there. If that's one of the things that they're trying to do in reaction to what happened last year and the build-up, if there's a degree of goodwill in packaging all those games together and the sheer amount of stuff in there, fair play.
I think they've missed a trick, though. They call it the Master Chief Collection. They really should have called it the Remaster Chief Collection.
Oh, I see what you did there.
They've just missed the easiest pun, and they've not gone for it. But yeah, I think it's a good show. I mean, the fact that they've taken the old games and they've smushed the multiplayer together is clever. I don't like the idea of being able to pick campaign levels and set them up as a playlist. That just seems weird to me.
Yeah, but that's an option.
Yeah, it's an option. I agree completely. It's an option. It seems a little bit odd.
Especially if you're co-oping with a friend and you're
just
speaking
want
over
to play that bit.
Yeah, you're speaking over Xbox Live. It's like, well, how about we do this level from Halo? We do this level from Halo 3, or well, I suppose because Halo 2, half of the campaign you do as the Arbiter and half you do as the Master Chief. You could possibly even, should you want to, just cut out the Arbiter stuff and just literally sort of play through as Master Chief, or with the lack of games that are around at the moment, particularly for next gen stuff. If Microsoft had said Halo 1's going to be 20 quid, Halo 2's going to be 20 quid, Halo 3's going to be 20 quid, Halo 4's going to be 20 quid, people would have gone, 20 quid for a game, I really enjoyed that game, I might go for that. But putting them all on one disc together with the extra stuff they've got, that's awesome.
Any thoughts on a price?
Well, it's around sort of the normal game price.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I really hope they do this. Give Halo Reach the same treatment, because that's my favourite of the series. So it's a bit of a shame that it's just the Master Chief games, because I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I kind of prefer the Halo games that don't have Master Chief.
Now you see, I'm with you to a degree, but in a different flavour. In that ODST is one of my favourite games of all time.
Yeah, ODST and Reach are my two favourite Halo games. Mainly because ODST has Halo 3's multiplayer, so I get the better single-player campaign with a really good multiplayer as well. So,
well, maybe that's what they're saving up for. Maybe they're getting the Master Chief Collection out, and then Halo 5 is still a way off, so they'll bring out everything that isn't Master Chief Collection.
Well, there's rumblings of Halo Wars 2 actually being in production. So if they did say Halo Wars, ODST, and Reach, that's still a good thing to kind of follow up with. Yeah,
good package. Yeah. Did they show any Halo 5 stuff? Did we learn anything else about that? Or
I think they're kind of keeping that in the back pocket a little bit.
Yeah, it all seems like the thing I thought we'd have seen more of at this show. That's what I say disappointed. I was expecting to see some Halo 5 and didn't.
I think though you can't blame them for focusing on the thing that's.
It's a good package, yeah, but I think they could have.
So chocker.
Yeah, they could have just put a little sort of here's a minute of Halo 5, boom, moving on. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't ready yet. If it's not ready yet, don't show it.
So next, another one which caught my breath and had me staring at the screen and trying to take it all in was Inside, a new game by the folks that made Limbo.
Look good.
Very Orwellian influence, I think. Seemed like just with all the people just marching together in this massive queue, seemed like I don't know, like a not post-apocalyptic. What's the word I'm looking for? Just a totalitarian society, or something like that, with this kid exploring in the background.
Well, it almost seemed to me as though the kid were walking in a memory of, or was walking in a memory rather of a world that had died because all the people other than him were sepia toned. And then you've got the grey wash of the background, and especially when all the people were gathered and looking out the window at seemingly what I presumed was kind of the world ending or something quite cataclysmic. And then there was this young boy that sort of ran along in the red shirt, and yeah, it just looked really interesting. And I'm sure it's not an exclusive. I'm sure, or if it is, it's probably timed, but. It did look interesting.
Oh, because Limbo came out on basically everything, didn't it? I mean,
yeah.
So I can't see this one not coming out on everything eventually as well. Yeah, I got the same vibes as you guys. It look, sort of is what's. I want to know what the story is. Like, I want to know what's up with the kid.
Well, if it's anything like Limbo, the story's going to kind of be up to your own interpretation, really. So I'll be interested to see what they do, because I really like Play Dead. Limbo was one of my favourite games that came out the year it came out. It was 2010, wasn't it?
Something like that,
yeah. And it's been a while since they've put out a game, so I'm really excited to see why it's taken them so long to bring out another one. So that will be cool.
Well, this led Microsoft into, again, a bit of a surprise, because we hear a lot about how proactive Sony are at getting indie titles, and the criticisms that's been leveled at Microsoft, saying that you need a publisher before we'll do anything, and a huge amount of negativity around from the indie scene towards Microsoft. And then the Idea Xbox showcase showed a ton of games. Got Astes, Night Squad, Plague Incorporated, White Knight, Earthlock. Favourite of mine, Cuphead, looked awesome.
That looked incredible, right?
Yeah, like really early Mickey Mouse kind of stuff. Hyper Light Drifter, which I believe is coming out on everything. Lifeless Planet, Slash Dash Through, Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, which is a great title.
Yep.
Grave Threes, which I thought was unusual.
Love that threes.
Phoenix Rage, Wolf, IDARB, I think it is, or IDARB, Hellraid and Below.
Yeah. Can we just point that the way they spell Phoenix Rage makes me really angry?
Yeah, but isn't that in the same way as the muscle-bound American footballer from Gears of War?
I know, and I don't know, that's why it makes me angry. I see that word everywhere. It's like, that's not how you spell Phoenix. There's a P in it. That's just me. I just get angry at little things like that. And it's like, is that how kids think Phoenix is spelled now? Because that's wrong.
Anything catch your eye within those, Josh?
Well, everything you mentioned, to be honest with you. I'm a big indie game fan, so I was just pleased that Microsoft were dedicating a major portion of their conference to just showing off that stuff. But also I'm well aware that a lot of that stuff is going to be multi-platform as well. So I'm sitting here with my nice, beautiful gaming PC, and I'm thinking, this little guy is going to have a lot of games to look forward to in the future. So they're not necessarily experiences I'm going to be playing on the Xbox One, but I'm just, I'm glad that Microsoft is actually, E3 is a big, event where even the general public, even like BBC, picks up on it. So to have indie games getting that kind of exposure is really positive.
So we then leapt into a trailer for the new Tomb Raider.
It took me a while to work out it was Tomb Raider. I missed that little shot at the start of the water thing, and I was sitting there thinking, what the fuck is this?
So Lara in a psychiatrist's office with a hood up, quite twitchy, and then there was quite a good lead into the end of the trailer where the psychiatrist is basically saying you can either let it dog you or you can own it, and then you saw it sort of look up a little bit, and then the footage of her jumping from trees and undoubtedly sort of tickling bears and dancing with squirrels and things.
Tickling bears.
Yeah. But even though it was only proof of concept, it kind of made me go, cool, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's got probably the title for worst title of the entire thing. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Come on, no one calls her the Tomb Raider.
No, I don't mind that at all.
No, it was awful. It is
the return to her overcoming the reaction that she's had to the first one, where she was thrown into that situation, and with her kind of becoming the person that she was in the early PS1 games, this badass gun shooting, super cool, living for adventure lass.
I think the bigger problem though is that a lot of movies, games, what have you, have used Rise in their Rise of the Planet of the Apes, The Dark Knight Rises. What else has there been? There's been loads, but I'm blanking on it, thus failing to prove my point.
Is there a film called Rise of the Guardians or something?
Rise of the Guardians, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Rise gets used a lot lately.
Don't forget Microsoft's Raise with a Y.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, couldn't they use something like... it always makes me laugh when you see games with, Revelations added at the end, or Origins, or...
I was a big fan of God of War's Ascension. I thought that was a nice word to add on the end.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought Rise... It's not even the Rise that I have a problem with. It's the... Rise of the Tomb Raider.
But she's the Tomb Raider.
Is she though? Other people raid tombs.
I kind of prefer Uncharted's method to titling their games. They just go Uncharted number and then a cool theme for the story they're going to get. So Uncharted 2 Among Thieves.
Yeah, but they can't just call it Tomb Raider 2 because we have that game.
True. Oh well, if they had the Tomb Raider 2 Lara Wears a Hood or something like that.
I don't think you've thought that one through, really, have you?
No, I didn't. Tomb Raider 2, Now She Gets Help, or I don't know.
You can imagine this being a round table at Crystal Dynamics and just John, what do you think it should be? Tomb Raider 2, Lara Wears a Hood.
Tomb Raider 2, analyse this.
Leave your badge at the front desk, John. Thanks.
There we go.
Yeah,
Tomb
close
Raider
the door.
2. Tomb Raider 2. Before we do
I have to say, I'm actually a big fan of Tomb Raider 2. Analyze this.
Yeah, I think you might have scored a bit of a name on that one.
The trick is the tomb. It's her mind.
Yeah.
No, that's a bit deep.
And she's got to watch out in the caverns of her mind in case she makes a Freudian slip. No, too much.
Moving on.
You should have quit while you were ahead.
That one needs work. Come back. We'll work on that, and we'll see you again next week.
Blame it on tiredness, but I know you, Patrick. So we then went into Witcher 3, in which, lols, he also flirts with a woman, lots of hidden context about future shagging, runs a bit following blood, fights a griffin, not quite as good as Dragon's Dogma.
I don't know. I liked it. It was like I put I'm going to put my penis in you, and I'm going to put my sword penis in you. That's fine. It looked good, and the open world looked really, really nice. And I wanted to play the first two Witches. I've got them off GOG, and they ran like absolute butt on my laptop, so I never really got round to it. And I've always wanted to like them. But my concern with Witcher 3 is, am I going to play it? Because I'm the sort of the completionist person that doesn't want to play number 3 without playing 1 and 2 first.
Okay, here's the thing. Witcher the series is actually one of the better written fantasy video game series out of all of them.
Yep.
And the moral choices they have in the game are actual moral choices. Witcher 2 had some really...
Hell did he ever leave that tent with that saucy redhead in there? Could end, and I would be happy with that being my exclamation mark.
Yeah, but I am excited for The Witcher 3 because I think The Witcher 2 was a game that had problems but had lots of really great ideas.
Yeah.
So it would be, I don't know, I'm excited to see those ideas polished and improved on, and maybe, hopefully, Witcher 3 is the experience that I really wanted out of 2, instead of getting really annoyed at that dragon boss battle at the end that is just ridiculously stupid. But the writing is there. I think the thing they've got a handle on is the storytelling and the moral choices and stuff. It's just the combat I think they need to work on. So we'll see. I am tentatively excited for The Witcher 3.
Because I went to the second one after playing Dark Souls, and the fact that I didn't have a shield just left my mind like, what? And admittedly, I didn't spend enough time with it to super click with it. But
I think the problem with playing Dark Souls is that every fantasy battle system after Dark Souls feels lacking by comparison. So I totally understand why going straight into Witcher 2 after Dark Souls would be a bit off-putting.
I can beat that. Try going into Bound by Flame after Dark Souls 2. Jesus Christ.
Oh dear.
It wasn't good.
So we then went to a favourite of Patrick's, which is again quite strange because I know you don't really like the shooty bang, but you've got a bit of a thing for The Division, haven't you?
I really do. God, yeah, I want that. It looks like my kind of jam. It's like sort of weird, it's a shooter, but it's a bit of a weird one. And that's the ones I tend to gel with more rather than just, hey, shoot all the terrorists now. I like something that looks a bit weird, looks a little bit techno, a little bit weird future. I like the map that will boom on the floor when you kind of look at the map. Like, that's brilliant. More of that. As I always bring this up, the little touches like when moving from cover to cover, but there's a car door that's slightly ajar, and he pushed it shut as he walked past. I was like, oh, that's very next gen. Have a bit. Was this part of the show? Was this the gameplay one, or was this the CG trailer?
The gameplay one? No. I don't know.
Was the gameplay one first?
The gameplay one was first, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I loved it. Like, again, everything I've seen of that game makes me want it more. Although I hope it doesn't pull a Watch Dogs. By the time it comes out, I don't care.
Yeah.
I have zero level of hype for Watch Dogs anymore. Everything I've seen of it makes me just die inside a little bit now.
I think the problem with Watch Dogs is that the footage they showed first is not what the game actually was. I don't know if you think
it's
back
GTA
to the
with
original
a phone.
footage. Yeah. I was, because it looked like, I don't know if any of you have watched Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, but
yes.
There's a character in there called the Laughing Man, and it kind of looked like the Laughing Man, the game, based on the early footage where you can hack into people's personal information and manipulate the world around you. And I'm like, oh, that interests me. But no, it's not really. It's just GTA where you can make special effects happen in the background.
And you can see if someone likes anime and then shoot them.
Yeah, but if they'd have done a Laughing Man game with that kind of universe and the Ghost in the Shell sort of lot were coming after you, I'd be all over that like it was made of ham.
Yeah. Someone make a good Ghost in the Shell game.
Well, there's a bit of a revision coming out anime-wise soon, I believe, or a few parts of it might already be out in Japan, so...
Wait, did you never play the PS1 one where you controlled a Tachikoma for the whole thing?
I did. I didn't love it.
Oh, I enjoyed it. I didn't know what Ghost in the Shell was when I played it. I just thought, cool, I'm a spider.
I think, unfortunately, I did. And
I can understand. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Then Microsoft went into something which I presume was supposed to be a bit of an embrace for old school fans, but left a lot of us going, what? Which was Phantom Dust. Which is allegedly an original Xbox fighting game, but interesting to see that they were getting at least some of the team from Killer Instinct to do it.
Well, my viewing pal was sitting on the sofa getting really, really excited. And like you say, I couldn't work out why. I was like, what is this? Is it a fighting game? Is it an action game? What is it? It looked interesting though. I'd like to see some actual gameplay. But if they can channel the same sort of, chucking electric projectiles back and forward at each other, and it was the little deflect that the pink lady did. I was like, oh, you can do that in the game. That looks pretty cool. Not just like blocking. Yeah, it looked cool. But again, it was a CG trailer without much to go on, really.
Yeah.
So then we went into a bit of a surprise as Kamiya-san came out onto and just looked like he was poker facing it all the time, especially as the camera swooped around him in sort of a really cinematic fashion.
You could tell he wanted to block every single person in that auditorium on Twitter.
But yeah, he showed off Scalebound. Lots of dinosaurs and people sort of getting dinosaur type skin. Kamiya said that it's nothing like Monster Hunter, which was asked of him afterwards. But watching it, I thought the lead was female. And
me too.
Then when the voice kicked in, I was like, what?
See,
and then gain like how to be your dragon. I don't know.
Because me and James Carter, also Kane and Rince, were watching this together on Skype, along with a few other fellows. And when we first saw this footage, like the first few seconds of it, we thought, is this a Devil May Cry sequel made by Platinum? Because the lead protagonist looks like Dante with his white hair, and he even had a sword, and we thought, is this Devil May Cry? Because that would kind of, like, I really, really like Ninja Theory's DMC, and I'm really disappointed it didn't sell as well as it did, and it looks like we're never going to get a sequel to that game. But if you passed on the DMC franchise to Platinum, I'm not going to complain.
There must have been a beautiful hush as that moment of potential expectation was shared between you all.
Yeah. But, yeah, it turns out to be a new IP. And I don't know, it is a CGI trailer, so it is kind of hard to gauge what the game's ultimately going to be. But the fact that it's Platinum and the fact that I believe Kamiya is like the director for that game, I'm not totally sure on that, that's enough to get me excited. It's kind of like with Bloodborne as well. Just knowing that Miyazaki is heading up that project is enough to get me excited. It was nice towards the end that it seemed to be showing off that the game might have multiplayer, because there was like multiple Dragon Riders.
And they were all different colours.
So it might be like Lair, but good. I don't know.
Are you
I don't
implying
know if anyone...
Lair was bad?
What?
Are you implying that Lair was bad?
Lair was a terrible game.
What a unique position to be in.
Yeah.
No, Lair was bad.
Right, moving on. If you are going to finish a conference and you are going to have me, I literally shivered when this happened because I absolutely adore the original. If you dare to show to me even the vaguest glimpse of Crackdown fucking 3, I will backflip across the room. I will run around the walls as if in Titanfall. I just grinned throughout that. And I know it was only a CGI trailer, but they did wheel out Dave Jones to deliver the bombshell. But I just thought, yeah, I'm all over that. That's awesome. I loved Crackdown to pieces. Never played the sequel, but loved the original.
I don't like Crackdown. I'm really sorry.
It's fine. You don't need to apologise for that.
I haven't played it. I thought it was Saints Row.
It's essentially sort of Saints Row 4 kind of lifted a lot of the jumping across rooftop mechanics.
Yeah. But you're not a prick. You're a policeman.
But it was nice seeing Microsoft sort of celebrating a franchise that had disappeared yet has a really decent fan base. And I thought the trailer was fun. It looked a giggle. So I like the art design as well. If they can carry that into the new game, marvelous.
Yeah, and the trailer looked good. Like there was, I like the idea of. I really hope that you can nick a train, throw it into a building, and throw the building at a guy, and that's what the policeman does. Like, surely there'd be like what's the
Loads
word?
of paperwork.
Paperwork, there'd be consequences, people would be demoted, you'd get like gruff sergeants going, I want your badge, Jones, and they have to give the badge in.
I don't think I don't think Crackdown is going for the authenticity The Wire is trying to portray. So I'm fine with it being crazy.
That's the whole game. There's one moment of extreme violence at the start, and the rest of the game is a court case.
Yeah.
There's your indie game.
Yeah.
Objection!
Phoenix Wright makes a cameo appearance. Yeah.
So
Consequences, the video game.
what did we make of the Microsoft conference?
Pretty good. I'd give a solid. For me, not being a person that cares much about Microsoft usually, because I'm a pretty unashamed Sony pony. I'll stand up to that. Good conference. Just games. Not start to finish, 90 minutes. Here's some games. Look at all these games we have. We've got all sorts of games. We've got shooty games. We've got jumpy games. We've got drivey games. Look at our games. It's like, great. Well done, Microsoft.
Well, I came out of that conference convinced that someday down the road I'd probably buy an Xbox One.
Yeah,
and up until this conference, I kind of felt like I didn't need to buy one at all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the best thing Microsoft could do, to be honest. So yeah, a good conference.
So then,
what about you, CJ? What did you think?
Again, I came out of it just thinking, how the hell can I put a little bit of money in a jar in time for that Master Chief collection? But yeah, I'd not really considered the console, and I still had a little bit of resonance from everything they tried to do the year before. But there was stuff there, a wide range of things that I'd like to play and would probably really enjoy. So yeah, and it's great for everybody else, because if there were rumours that Sony had things put aside in case Microsoft had a really good conference, which meant that you saw those earlier as well. So it's good for the industry seeing everybody on top form. So after the dizzying highs of Microsoft's conference, we then spiraled down into the toilet bowl of the Electronic Arts conference. Lots and lots and lots and lots of CGI trailers.
Here's some games we haven't made.
And barely anything else. So this started off with Star Wars Battlefront, or Nerd Holiday for Dice. So for all of those people who were going, oh man, Battlefield 4 is broke, it's really nice to know that DICE were off on their Star Wars holidays.
Battlefield, no, Battlefront. That's what we care about. We got the Battlefield 4 out of the way. Now we get to the one we want to make. Seriously, I know. Again, this is the wrong things to get excited about. But did you see that Stormtrooper helmet? That render. Oh my god.
You're playing into their hands.
I know I am. I'm such an easy mark, and it's just like, yeah, okay, I'll buy that.
That whole footage was like, you like Star Wars, don't you? Star Wars, and just all the way through it. And then I was asking all the way, but gameplay? I want to see the game. And they're like, no, but Star Wars.
It was like that, though. It's been like, we've been on holiday to George Lucas's garage. Then we went on holiday to a snowy place. Then we went on holiday to a sandy place. It's just like, this is the reason why people are crying into their hands about Battlefield and going like, why are the servers not working? Why are there so many glitches?
Because of the Force, that's why.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shocker. I mean, the footage they showed was all right, but it was nothing really to write home about, because it was, it was kind of vaguely proof of concept. It was just like, we've been on holiday a bit.
We went to Hoth.
This is a problem throughout the conference, which James pointed out, was there was a lot of tell but not show. Like a lot of footage of developers telling you, our game is really good, we're going to revolutionize the industry, blah, 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 but not actually showing us how they're going to do that. Just hearing them like that was the whole Mass Effect thing. It's just the devs talking and then us seeing concept art of Mass Effect 4, what they're planning to do, and you're like, why are you wasting our time? Like, I'm excited for another Mass Effect. Yeah, awesome, but wait until we've got stuff to show me. Don't tell me what your ideas are, because If I wanted that, I'd go and watch a developer interview. This is E3. This is your time to show off that kind of stuff.
Well, to leap forward to that, when the developers at BioWare and the Mass Effect stuff showed off a still, and then they all looked like they were being interrogated in a dark room with a single light bulb, no shade.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's what it is. Maybe they've been locked in that dark room and told, do a better ending or we won't let you out.
the kind of the way the conversation was leaning, I thought they were going to show off remastered footage of the Mass Effect trilogy. And then
imagine that.
Nothing. But at least that would have been something, and apparently that is playable.
I'd buy that.
But apparently it is playable. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But to boing back a touch, after Star Wars Battlefront, we were greeted by Electronic Arts spokesman Android Wilson, who arrived in a black suit with sort of smooth, shiny bits on it and basketball sneakers. And I was unsure if he was going to talk to us about games or instigate a search for Tron.
He was a smooth operator, wasn't he?
Honestly, I bet that hair just does not move.
Too smooth. Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of, like, if he was cast in Battlestar Galactica, there would be no doubt about who the Cylon was.
He's the sort of executive that Microsoft has sacked.
Yeah.
So he then took us into a hilarious intro for Dragon Age Inquisition, where it's just like, wheel out a cellist.
Oh, God, yeah, and she was really into it as well.
Yeah, it was just like, what?
She was giving it music face.
It all seemed a little bit Alan Partridge to me, where it's just like, oh, we've not really got that much more of Dragon Age Inquisition at this point, but look, the whole set just parts and a cellist comes out on a moving platform.
Yeah, didn't they wheel out a car last year?
I can't remember.
Someone wheeled out a car. This just feels like a low-rent version of that. Like, we couldn't afford a car this year, so we've got a woman.
So yeah, it's we've already talked about Dragon Age, so we don't really need to dwell here. BioWare, we've covered, and also they said, well, we've got a new IP. Here's a still. Then it went.
I think only BioWare could get away with that as well, though. Like,
I'm not sure that they did.
I don't think they got away with it, but I don't know, they're not getting crucified as much as I think they should be for that.
Oh, I think they're getting pretty crucified, Paddy.
I've not been on Twitter much, admittedly. I've stayed off it the entire shows. I tried not to go on it because last year I went on Twitter during the shows and it made me sad. Yeah. So I tried to stay away. So maybe I've not looked at the right part of the internet. Yeah. But
BioWare aren't as untouchable as they used to be after Dragon Age 2 and the whole Mass Effect 3 ending palaver. So people are kind of ready to grab their pitchforks at any moment with BioWare these days, I think. So, it was disappointing because I despite everything recently, I still really do like BioWare quite a lot. So. It's a shame that they kind of just said, we've got stuff planned, guys, but nothing else. And then they just move on. It's really a bit underwhelming.
So then we leapt into Sims 4, which, if I'm sitting on the fence, I say, well, that really doesn't look like it's for me or really isn't my thing. But frankly, it looked absolutely wank as the life of Chuck came.
Do you know what's sad? That's like the first one we saw any real gameplay of as well.
It was like somebody taking a curling iron and occasionally twatting it over my eyes.
Who was the old woman in the gameplay they showed?
Like Betty or something, or Martha.
Something like that. Yeah, the best character of E3.
Yeah, she's an old bitch.
She just randomly assaults people over, like, wasn't it his poetry or something?
Yeah.
Like, he read her poetry and then she decides to send him to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, wow, okay.
Doesn't he die at the end of that trailer?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, the end of it is like, oh, he died. Isn't that hilarious? And then everyone else is like, no, it's not. The guy died.
Yeah. This guy clearly got a steroid problem.
Get her as a playable character in Scalebound.
Yeah. She'd be a boss, though, I think.
Oh, God,
not a playable character.
End
of game boss.
Smack you.
Yeah.
So then EA went into EA Sports UFC versus Bruce Lee, which on the one hand, which on the one hand I've heard is a pretty good game, but the thing that I noticed when it was on screen was there was no physicality to the fighters at all. Everybody kind of waggles around like a rubber chicken, and nobody seemed particularly heavy or human.
They're very kind of doughy, aren't they? Like
they just seem really detailed, and that was it. Although apparently it plays well, but
I've heard that the series is actually really well made. So I've never played them, so I feel hesitant to criticise what we saw.
I have played with them, so I can criticise it quite heavily.
Okay.
I don't know. For some reason, I acquired a copy of the first UFC game. I think it was the THQ one. And what I've played of that seems to be present in every UFC game I've seen. They are baffling bullshit, is what they are. It's like, oh, right, okay, here you go. First we're going to learn how to do a strike. Now we're going to do a high strike. Now a low strike. Now a mid strike, which apparently is different from a strike. Now we're going to learn how to do jabs by holding down a trigger button, which apparently is also different. Now we're going to block them. Now we're going to block low ones. Now we're going to dodge. Now we're going to dodge counter. Like an hour later, and you still don't know, like, you've still not learned everything. It's all like, hold a trigger and flick the stick to the left.
Yeah, but if you're into UFC, you understand that terminology.
Such a long time, though. Like, it was just, there's so many intricate button combinations that don't seem to match anything.
But being given sort of access to that level of simulation, I believe that EA have actually poured quite a bit of time into it, and the UFC sort of fans are really overjoyed with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like what CJ just said, like I understand that it's a bit impenetrable to everyone else, but that's kind of what the fans want.
That's true. Yeah,
so I'm glad that they've given that much attention to detail.
They're like the new boxing games, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
Boxing games used to get that kind of spotlight, and like no one gives a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Well, given that a lot of EA sports stuff can tend to go for the everyman, to actually appeal to the fan base to that degree, I applaud that, to be honest.
I think the only thing that annoyed me was that Bruce Lee was not fighting like Bruce Lee. So it's like if you're going to go to the effort of putting Bruce Lee in your game, like have him, jumping about a bit and being his springy self, but instead he was kind of just fighting like every other UFC fighter.
And he occasionally had a jump kick.
Yeah, like that's the thing. He should be doing that every 2 seconds, not like
and like going wah every time he punches someone. Like if I want to play a Bruce Lee fighting game simulator, I'll fucking just pick up Tekken. I'll pick Law and I'll have myself a time.
Yeah. Anyway,
so we then boinged into NHL 15, but it didn't really show a lot of that, and I probably couldn't tell the difference between that and NHL 14.
Fighting on ice. That's just hockey, isn't it, really? I think.
So, yeah. Then came the hilarity of Criterion coming on, and everybody kind of on Twitter went, please, new Burnout. And then it kind of went, we're the company that brought you sort of some great racing games, and everybody's gone like, new Burnout. And instead, what they showed just came across as someone at the company blown load on the company credit card on those adventure days, like riding a helicopter, go on an ATX, and they panicked and hastily started drawing stuff and trying to make a game on it. It was just, I just sat there and just went, what?
The weirdest thing for that whole thing as well, like, I was kind of watching it and kind of I could see what they were trying to go for, like, going fast is fun. Let's see how many ways we can go fast. I was like, okay, I get that. It's like it's all in first person, and that red flag. Because I play driving games and any game like that with the camera firmly outside of the vehicle. Otherwise, how do I know how wide the vehicle is? And I don't know. Like I love me some like Paradise is probably still one of my favourite racing games ever. And they never quite captured that lightning in the bottle again with the Need for Speed stuff when Criterion moved on. Like I thought Need for Speed Rivals was just turgid rubbish.
Did you play Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010?
Think so. There was one of those that was good. That might be the one. I played a small amount of it and I thought it was pretty cool.
I was always tempted by that, and because I loved Chase HQ on the arcades when I was a blighter, and Darren Garget's always sort of said to me, play that, it's really good.
Yeah, I would say Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, the 2010 version, is as close as they've gotten to recapturing Burnout Paradise's magic. So if you want to relive that, then go buy that. I bet it's been on sale like 100 times now, so you should probably get it for like £5 or something.
Yeah, I think so. Is Hot Pursuit open world, or is it sort of linear levels?
It's not open world. It is linear levels, but it's really focused and well designed linear levels.
No,
so...
I'd be up for that because I didn't enjoy Paradise. I preferred the likes of Revenge, but then
it will be right up your street.
Cool. So we then went into EA Sports PGA Tour, Golf Without Limits, Battleships, Fuck My Life.
Battlefield Golf, like fucking brilliant.
This is hilarious because everyone in the Skype call when we were watching this had just a perfect moment together when we were watching it, because we saw, it's a golf game, and so we kind of like started to tune it out, and we had like our conversation, a separate conversation about something else, and then we're like, what's going on with the golf? Oh my god, a battleship!
Yep. Same thing happened in my front room. It was like, what is that? Oh, okay.
There was no build-up whatsoever, because they were just like, and here's the new golf game, and it starts out like, oh, it's a new golf game. Don't you like golf? And
look
then suddenly,
nice
wow. Whoa. It's like, wow, okay, that guy, he's a bit of an extreme golfer.
That immediately got me thinking, though, like, okay, brilliant. They're in Battlefield now. What other EA games could we visit? Could we go visit, for instance, Mirror's Edge Land on top of some buildings and play golf? Could we visit Plants vs. Zombieland? Could we start fucking shooting balls at Peggle?
I immediately thought like Dragon Age or something, because you know what?
Star Wars!
Dragons seem to be a theme lately. Like, there are a lot of dragons in video games, so why not put more dragons in golf games? Like, that's fine with me.
If you're mentioning Star Wars, I just imagine that sort of that scene with Luke and in Star Wars where he got the blast shield down, and there's that kind of little thing, and Luke's in the instead he's in the Death Star, and he takes off that helmet, the little thing drops to the floor, he pulls out the lightsaber, it goes, and then like a little golf club head comes on the end.
R2-D2 rolls over and another club comes out the top of his thing.
Or no, the sort of little sphere thing goes further down, and then you get that little bit that goes chasing after it.
You just made me conjure an image of somebody like hitting a ball into the 1 weak spot in the Death Star. The golf just destroys the Death Star.
Well, yeah, I can just imagine it. Just all these TIE fighters just tumble out of the way, and you say, "You're all clear, kid." And, let's blast this thing and go home. And like Luke just gets out of the X-wing, stands on the top, positions a golf ball on top of R2-D2's head, like you see it go through the exhaust port. And
you've got Tiger Woods on the radio going, "Great shot, kid!"
Boom.
Why they need to make that? I'll buy that.
I think we've just made it better.
Fucking hell.
Right, everything is a disappointment from here on. So we then went into Madden, fucking egg chasers.
And egg.
And then Dawngate, which was a MOBA thing, where the guys were just sort of like, yeah,
we're making a MOBA that's different than other MOBAs, and we all like League of Legends and Dota, so we're going to make one like that.
It's like, we all love MOBAs, but what we're trying to do is something a little bit different.
It's like, we like Minecraft, so we're going to make Minecraft. It's that kind of thing.
MOBAs are the new MMOs. Like, everyone's chasing after with MMOs, everyone was chasing after the World of Warcraft dream, and now everyone's chasing after the League of Legends Dota 2 dream. I just can't see anyone else taking over the market the same way those two have.
Yeah.
I think, and especially considering, like they say, it looks like Dota 2 and League of Legends. It really does.
Yep.
And if you're just going to make the same game, what's the point of even making a MOBA? Like, if they did something like a radically different setting, or like played with the mechanics, actually played with the mechanics, and did something dramatically different, then I'd be like, oh, okay, interesting. But when you've got Valve and Blizzard funding the two most popular games in that genre, I don't see how you're ever going to compete. So I don't know.
Same sort of thing. Like I see about taking it and doing something different. Like Awesome Noughts was let's do it 2D and with cartoon
absolutely.
80s style, and that just piped that straight into my nostalgia button. Like that was really good. And like I mean, I'm not very good at it, but I enjoyed it. But I personally I just can't see myself ever enjoying playing one of them. Like they just seem populated by fuckheads.
Well, I understand the appeal. I tried to play Dota 2 for a while, but it's kind of like stuff like Street Fighter 4 and StarCraft 2 multiplayer. Like the barrier to entry is just so impossibly high that a newcomer like me is just struggling to even survive.
You start off, you run forwards, and you immediately get told you're running the wrong way.
Yeah.
But why? Come on, help.
That's a mid-lane character, not a left-lane character.
Why are you focusing on the mobs?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just clicking on the guys and making them die.
Stop having fun. Take this seriously.
He's not my colour. I thought I was supposed to kill that guy.
Right.
Anyway, good job, Internet.
Right, a moment of silence here in reverence for the fact that Electronic Arts Next actually showed us a game. Not just game footage, but a game.
A game?
They showed Mirror's Edge 2. I've not played the original. It was actual game footage by the looks of it, and it looked absolutely fucking awesome.
You've not played the original?
No, I saw it for £3 yesterday as well.
Why didn't you buy it?
I don't know.
Go back.
All right.
Tomorrow. Go get it.
Mirror's Edge for me is a game with some incredible ideas, but it has some serious problems. And so, despite that, I'm really excited for Mirror's Edge 2, because I think if they can iron out those problems and polish it and really focus on what made the original Mirror's Edge it's so interesting, I think they could have a really great game on their hands. And judging by the gameplay footage I saw during the conference, it looks like they know what made the first game as appealing as it was. Like, I didn't see any gun combat in that footage, which made me think, oh, thank goodness. Maybe it's all...
Did you see the bit they were talking about Faith's character as well? Like, oh, we're designing a character. You did that 6 years ago.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
The thing that came across to me as well was that for all the super realistic graphics that people are aiming for on the next gen consoles, the design work looks so crisp and so beautiful, and most of it was just washes of white or reflective floors or single coloured buildings, and it just looked incredible.
That's a trend that I think extends to all of E3, is that there seems to be more of a focus on art design more than graphical fidelity. We'll get onto this later, but we saw that with No Man's Sky and stuff like that, where people are realizing, okay, like, moving to HD from standard definition was a huge leap, but now it feels like we're just kind of making better versions, like visually, of what we've seen before. So the stuff that stands out is the stuff that takes creative risks. And I know Mirror's Edge 2 is still using the same style as the first game, but it's easy to forget how much that first game stood out compared to everything else that was coming out that year because of its art style. And I'm really encouraged to see those kind of projects being supported at this E3, like games that really focus on art design more than anything else. It's really good.
I think you've got the aspect that you look back towards games like Wind Waker, and now they're leaping up to and being remastered to modern day technology. The design work was so good that they just all of that brilliant design is retained and yet sort of given a tiny bit of polish. Whereas the games that are going for photorealism.
Yeah, they age. Yeah.
You know, if you take a game that was trying that from back in Wind Waker's day and up-resed it, it'd look balls. And I think that in, say, 10 years' time, when people are taking games from now and tweaking them for whatever comes in the future, it will be games like Mirror's Edge, which still stand the test of time, or, you know, like a Demon Souls or a Dark Souls that do that, whereas the stuff that's going for, you know, like a Watch Dogs will probably look wank.
Yeah. I was going to bring up Dark Souls as an example of that, which seems appropriate considering the podcast we're on.
Oh,
but,
it was only a matter of time, wasn't it, really? I mean...
Yeah. But, yeah, like, Dark Souls is not the most technically competent game out there. Like, some of the textures are a bit, you know, blurry, blah, 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 blah. But it really understands composition and art design. So even though the smaller details maybe aren't as strong as games with bigger budgets than Dark Souls, because they know how it all fits together, the whole picture looks beautiful. And that's a lesson this industry is slowly learning, I think, is that you need to focus on what it looks like as a piece of, you know, a whole piece, rather than getting so het up about, oh, the skin, look, you could see the pores on the skin, the sweat coming out. No, I don't care. I really don't care.
You can really see his shame.
Yeah. Yeah. When I'm playing... Yeah, go on, sorry.
I think on the Dark Souls tip, when that little sort of addition was put into to be able to take the graphics up a notch. I saw screenshots where people had up-res things to sort of, I don't know, like twice, 3 times the original resolution, but crisper, and it just looks stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's something that's come on to my brain as we've been talking about this. Mirror's Edge is a lot like Dark Souls. It's initially hard as fuck. I can still play it again anytime. I can just put it in, start playing it, and have a blast with it. And now I've played it and I'm good at it, I can bomb through Mirror's Edge in about an hour and a half. Like, and it's one once you get how it works, it's beautiful. But initially, the frustrations turn a lot of people off, and it's wow, it's the same game.
I actually I feel the opposite way. I think Mirror's Edge is initially really, really engaging, and then it poos its pants towards the end. But
I think plot-wise it does, but I think mechanically, like a lot of people I know, they tried the demo and they were like, "Nope, can't do it. It's too hard. Keep falling off a building."
Well,
That's sort of splat.
I actually think. You compare Dark Souls and Mirror's, I actually think they're radically different in a lot of ways. But but yeah, I'm excited for Mirror's Edge too. That's so the game we were talking about, wasn't it? Yes. Like, I lost track.
Yeah. This is the vote with your money edition, not with your forum comments.
Well, there's been a lot of reports for a while of journalists that have gone to DICE, and all that's on the walls is stuff from Mirror's Edge, and they've constantly sort of had this yearning look, but their mouths are zipped up with regards to wanting to really do something with that character again. So, and I like I say, I haven't played the original, but I know the reaction both this year and last year, where they showed off that bit of footage, and then towards the end, they did that push button of playing a little bit of the music from the original, and people just went, "Oh my god,
yeah, it's real."
Yeah, it was a really nice sort of cherry to put towards the end of the trailer, because it just, I don't know, it's a bit of nostalgia, albeit recent, but it's enough to push the button in the fans, I think.
Nostalgia.
So we then went on to FIFA 15. I love football, but it's a game I'll never play.
I like the way he kicked the ball.
Yeah, I still think that Sensible World of Soccer is the greatest game ever made, and nobody's getting near that. Or greatest football game ever made, rather. Then we went on to Battlefield Hardline, and I thought initially that the trailer that they showed on the EA conference wasn't even vaguely as good as the trailer that leaked the previous week.
No. I think you're right. It didn't ignite the sparks as much as I'd hoped it would, because that leak trailer was like, okay,
Yeah,
go
really
on then,
good.
go on then, give us some. But then that kind of like extended playthrough bit, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Where they sort of showed, this is a match that's happening. They kept cutting back and forward for people, and this is what's happening on this guy, and then this is happening over here, and it's like it's all very well choreographed, isn't it?
It's quite ironic that one of the only trailers that EA had actually got, which showed off everything, was the one that leaked, and they then had to reformulate sort of something else, I guess. But
Well, I mean, it looks all right, I guess. But
Yeah.
the problem is obviously they announced the beta and said, right, it's live now, and then their beta website promptly died. Because a million people went, I'm going to sign up for that right now. And I'm guilty as well. I jumped on. It took me about 20 minutes of refreshing constantly to try and get into it. I had a quick go of the beta. I was shot about 4 times by a guy and got run over.
I think I'd be more interested in this game if it really capitalized on the cops versus robbers dynamic instead of it just being Battlefield with a different paint job.
Yeah.
Like if you had to negotiate with the people who are robbing the bank or the armored car or what have you, and try and get hostages off of them or something like that, that would be more interesting to me. But instead it's a heist with the highest body count of any heist I have, I think, in recorded history.
I mean, collateral damage. This is Crackdown all over again, isn't it? This is collateral damage.
When that building toppled down, I was just thinking, well, all those criminals are getting the chair now.
This is a national tragedy.
Yeah. They've gone from simple
national tragedy would be if you look at footnotes again.
They've gone from armed robbery to terrorism. All those guys must have been like, Jesus, we didn't want to get caught before, but now we really don't want to get caught. I do not want to get blamed for that.
All I wanted was just a few gold bars. Was that too much to ask for?
Well, the kind of leaning on that original trailer was it was, I don't know, the bent was more heavily in favour of this being like a TV show. And
you get that from the loading screen, actually, when you boot it up. It's very kind of ticker going on the bottom. It's like, thieves are nicking stuff.
I'm not particularly one for the uber realistic stuff, and I thought, seeing the interplay between the characters and the more episodic and TV-like feel to it, I was like, I like that direction. That seems cool, and none of that came across in the show trailer.
It doesn't come across when you play it either. Trust me.
It's about trying to protect an invisible man.
So having that kind of tone of look at all this.
I couldn't ascertain who was shooting me as to what team I was supposed to be on, and I saw a helicopter flying about, and yep, police do that, right? Played it once, gave up. Sorry, Battlefield, you've lost me. You could have been the next Counter-Strike, you weren't. Sorry.
So yeah, that was EA, and a big sigh, and then I realised that Ubisoft was probably going to be more of the same, and it was. So,
I don't know. I don't think I don't think anyone ever gives Ubisoft enough credit. I like Ubisoft. I think they always I always really look forward to their show, because at very least it's probably going to be a bit weird.
Well, I mean, let's crack into Ubisoft then. I mean, if there's anything I'm going to say, was Aisha Tyler was absolutely excellent. I thought she was professional. She seemed into the games. She was rolling with the punches. She was into it, and I thought she tied things together really well.
I think she's a great host. Laura hates her. Other half Laura despises everything about her. But yeah, I thought she did a reasonably good job. Entertaining. Wasn't just stood there going, this is a game that's coming out. You should watch this now. She had a bit of personality, a bit of spark, and she was, laughing and joking with the people.
Well,
came across. I liked it.
She's not, she's not an Ubisoft employee. She's a video game fan, and that kind of comes across with her presenting style. It's more that
she's there because she wants to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Except that year she did it with Tobuscus. That was the worst thing.
Good God.
Ugh.
So yeah, they Ubisoft launched straight into Far Cry 4, and Troy Baker doing a vaguely foreign accent and threatening to shut shit up.
Give that again.
I did know because it was just my stock Eastern European accent, and that's clearly a vaguely Asian man. But but yeah, I don't know. It was a decent enough splash, but I kind of.
The problem is, I played the second half of Far Cry 3, so any enthusiasm I would have for the Far Cry series has long since been killed off. So
Was it
yeah,
that bad?
it's not terrible. It's just well, actually, the storyline of Far Cry 3 is actually insanely bad. But like the gameplay just gets super repetitive. And yeah, I don't think I want to play another one of those. I think is the more important thing. I've already played big open world shoot everything, immortal elephants apparently in this game as well.
Oh no, you can kill them. You can definitely kill them. I watched a video shortly afterwards of the McElroy brothers from Polygon doing like a show tour, and they went to the Ubisoft booth, put C4 on the elephant, stood. Just suddenly, with the way they took that,
and
like
yet
the
an
paradigm
exploding
of games like that, it suddenly like
barely phases the elephant
everyone can buy
whatsoever.
very bad. There was no C4 on it, clearly.
Well, yeah, that
Rock
makes all
paper
the
scissors.
difference.
Elephant beats fan.
I mean, with Far Cry 3, they lost me in the early trailers where it just looked like the children of conservative MPs. Oh no, the rich kids have gone to a foreign island and have been captured. I couldn't give a shit.
Oh no, they're going to get a tribal tattoo, but it might actually mean something for once.
That original trailer was just like the handgun over.
Right. That's the one thing that Far Cry 3 actually does well, is all the way through it, you are meant to hate those kids. So, I get why that trailer would put you off, but they know that it's annoying you. So that's the one thing they got right. The problem is that, I don't know, they had an interesting character. He disappears halfway through, and then you're just left with characters that you either hate or find mind-numbingly boring. And based on the characters that they have in the footage they've shown of Far Cry 4, I'm not confident they'll have any characters I'm interested in. So I don't know. It might be fun to play, but I struggle to care.
What do you think about the idea of your friends can play with you if they don't even have the game?
I think that's interesting. I'd be curious to know how the hell they're managing to achieve that.
Because you could do that on the PSP with Wipeout, I think. You could send a small bit of it to a friend's PSP, and then you could race together. I've done it a few times. It was really good, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was quick as well. It's like, oh, right, go, off you go. Like, maybe it should download a little client, maybe, and it kicks you in or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it streams footage to your machine using the cloud.
I think it'd be interesting. It's
thinking that folks would just accept it. There's been climb down after climb down after climb down.
And pay money to play more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. I suppose that's, next evolution of demos. Jump into my game, play a bit with me. What do you think?
It's a better idea than actual demos, I think. Demos tend to either be really misleading or...
The tutorial.
Yeah, the tutorial, yeah.
Do you know if you move the left stick, you can move around?
Yeah. Come on. I can count the number of good demos on one hand. Like, BioShock is the one that I think everyone points to as, like, that was a really good demo.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I struggle to...
Skate 1.
Yeah.
Fuck me, that demo. Jeez, I got maybe 10 hours out of just the demo.
But if we're going into sort of favourite demos, I'd probably say Just Cause 2. It gave you about 20 minutes to twat around in any direction as far as you could go. And I blew up everything that I could get near. I threw helicopters into people's faces. I drove cars, set them on fire, and had them speeding towards garages. And I played those 20 minutes. I was like, right, I'm ordering that.
Are we talking about this because Ubisoft's conference is so boring that we're trying to avoid talking about it?
Maybe the games initially were boring.
Yeah. Right, I'm getting focused again now.
Yeah.
Just Dance 2015. Everyone has a dance. Phone dancing. Everyone dancing. A winner. It's Betty up there.
Yeah, what was going on? Like, everyone can dance, but at this show, we're only letting 19 to 23-year-olds.
What, the invisible one?
Like, there were no old people dancing. There should have been an old person. If you say anyone can dance, I expect to see a fucking grandma out there. Maybe Betty.
I want to see the character.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it was. It was like that bit in The Simpsons. It was like, and this is the latest single from Funky C, Funky Do. I was there going, oh.
Yeah, I expect to see her criticising the dance moves of the young children and then watching them go into a roid rage and die. Yeah. That would have been a better trailer. I don't understand. Was it a live demo they were doing? Were they all actually playing it, or was it just a dance number?
I doubt they were playing it.
Yeah, like they're all holding a phone, but then doesn't every 19 to 23-year-old hold a phone these days? I mean, like, I don't.
What are you trying to say about 19 to 20? Do you have to? You have something against my people?
They've learned what beer is.
Paddy, that court order still stands.
They're all trying to be fresh and unique, and they're not.
Did you say that you're a fan of the Just Dance series, or did I get that wrong, Josh?
No, I like Dance Central.
That's
Just Dance, I couldn't care less about.
Moving on, we then had another glimpse at The Division.
Yep.
Which we've covered. We then went into the crew.
Don't move on yet. Don't move on.
Why?
Because that trailer was really good.
What, the invisible one?
Love that!
Oh, come on, it was balls!
That was brilliant. Like, you knew that, like, at one point the guy was going to shoot himself. You were just waiting for the splatter. I thought it was a great trailer.
I thought they had played The Last of Us before making that trailer.
Okay with that, and they watched that Dead Island trailer and thought, let's make one of those. I was like, oh, there's a dead kid in the first 10 seconds.
The problem is they don't have Naughty Dog's writers on hand, so I don't know. I thought it was a bit rubbish, to be honest.
What's The Division about? It's about trying to protect an invisible man.
I'd play that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool trailer. I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm quite looking forward to The Division anyway. So I'm in that kind of point where, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. And like a lot of it, I'm just watching it and it's just getting an automatic pass.
So speaking of which, it then went into another favourite of Paddy's, The Crew.
Yeah, man. God, I want that. I don't know why. This looks good, and like that was a kind of interesting trailer. Like it was basically, that trailer was like, look how big our world is, and that was all they really said about it, I think. But I've read some interviews and I've seen some bits, and I've been doing a lot of digging on The Crew because I really, really want it to be a success because it looks like it could be the kind of game that I could just turn on and just drive about for a bit and have a bit of a laugh, and I don't know, it looks like my kind of shit. And then having that trailer where they drive across like an entire, well, quote marks, an entire country's worth of place, like, yeah, go on then. I'll have a bit of that. Yeah, Crew, bring it.
Josh?
It's a car game. I'm sure it will be good when it comes out, but I just, trailers for car games can't generate much excitement from me, unfortunately.
What sticks in my mind is there was a video piece by Steve Burns on Video Gamer, and he went to play the game, and he said that similar problems to those which affected Need for Speed, the last one, I can't think, was it Rivals, yeah, whereby you can be racing in a group, and then if somebody's internet connection drops out or whatever, all of your games have kind of folded. Plus, as an even bigger sort of marker, he says that there are microtransactions in there. And
yeah, but I've heard something that says you don't have to do them; you can unlock it all yourself.
Yeah, but is any sort of pay to win mechanic? Is that rewarding people who've got money to spend and are shite, or is it putting off those people that want to go on and actually do it properly?
Like, a lot of games have had that. Like, driving games particularly, I've noticed, have a lot of those, hey, it's the time saver pack. Unlock all the cars.
I hate all that shit. I hate it.
Yeah, like, I don't find them to imbalance it at all. I just look at them and go, no. And then, like, it's like, oh, cool, I could pay to not play the game. Yeah, good job, transactions. No, I think it's for the kind of person that wants to drive super smashing balls car straight away and doesn't really want to work for it. But, you know, that kind of person can fuck off. Fly the game and play the game. I
just worry if the point where Ubisoft starts sewing this sort of stuff into games and it becomes successful, it's going to become a precedent in everything.
Yeah, I'd like to see how they implement it first. I'd like to see it, you know, again, like in the flesh. I'd like to see how they actually do it. It might be awful. It might be completely innocuous and non-consequential. But yeah, I mean, like you say, Josh, like, probably wait and see. Put it in your hands and, okay, fine, it's awful. All right, moving on.
I mean, the potential of having kind of a cannonball run and being able to sort of have a massive race across America.
Like 2-hour drive across America.
Potentially, that sounds kind of cool. But
like that cool mission in SSX where you go down the entire mountain.
I haven't played it.
God, yeah, and there's some of the best tracks in was it Burnout 3, I think there was one that was a bit like that. Admittedly, it was only a 5-minute race, but you went across quite a lot of the map on that. It was really, really cool shit. And like, if there's a 2-hour mission of just driving, like I'm the sad fuck that did that in Fuel. Remember that the really, really big Codemaster, I think it was, open world driving game, and there was a mission for it you can unlock later. I just did it anyway because it was fun, and it took like 5 hours of getting lost and kind of coming to mountains and going, oh shit, I've got to drive around that now. But yeah, give me a big world, let me drive across it and let it take a long time, and you've probably got me. Yeah, the crew, hype.
So we then jumped into Assassin's Creed Unity again with a terrible, morose Tears for Fears cover, which just had me wanting to drill into my own face.
Is that a cover by that band called Lordi?
I have no idea who it was by, but
no, Lordi were the Finnish ones that were the monsters.
What?
Do you remember Eurovision?
No.
The guys from Finland that came onto Eurovision dressed up as monsters.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, man, they were fucking brilliant. I'm so glad they won. Lord with an E on the end, I think. They did that song called Royals, I think.
You're on your own here.
They've been putting on real radio stations at work, and this stuff's starting to seep in. I'm not a fan, honestly. But yeah, no, I agree. It was a very bad cover.
Does anybody remember, other than this trailer, what was shown off in this Assassin's Creed Unity one? Was it just more talky of the same?
This was the one where they cut the guy's head off, wasn't it? And held it up.
I don't know.
Was that the first one?
Yeah, that was the first one, wasn't it?
The severed
all
head.
Kind of bleeds together, to be honest.
Right, so...
this was the one. No, this was the trailer that made me really angry. So it's like, okay, start this mission, go do this. And then you'd see, oh, look, a thief, go chase the thief. He chased the thief for about 5 seconds and let him leave. It's like, no, finish the mission. And then he went into a house. Oh, look, there's a murder investigation. Oh, I should come do that later. Walks away like, no, do the mission.
This assassin has attention deficit disorder.
Seriously?
But the thing is that they'll show off all these segments and kind of the big open world of Paris, and then you'll get there and it'll be like, hello, I have lost all the pages for my book. Can you find them all for me? It's like, oh, God.
Sorry, all French listeners of this podcast.
Yeah. Hey, remember Hello, Hello? The cultural bridge between Britain and France? So after this, we then went into Shape Up, the second of the Please Don't Mention Connect. So it looked a little bit kind of like a rock band meets a fitness thing.
Ubi weird.
Yeah, and live man beard.
This is what I mean when I say that Ubisoft shows are always a little bit weird. You always get something really batshit stupid like that. I thought that was I enjoyed that video. I liked the guy doing the press ups to kind of lift anvils and whales and stuff. Like, yeah, it's not the sort of thing I do because I don't do press ups, but it's the sort of thing I'd enjoy probably watching other people do and laugh at them.
Yeah, I think my problem is that a lot of the activities that they showed off was stuff you could just do on your own. At least,
you could watch someone play Rock Band and just sort of step around in your front room.
Yeah. I mean, like press ups, for example. Like you can just do press ups, whereas something like Dance Central, you've got the person in front of you because you want to learn the choreography for the dance number. That's why you're playing it on Kinect, because it's a useful way of learning dance choreography. Who doesn't know how to do proper push ups? I mean, there are plenty of people who don't know how to do it for like more than 5 times, but it's not a hard thing to do. So I don't know. And if you're actually doing push-ups, you're not going to have. I don't know. You're not going to look up at the screen and go, "Ooh, look, a whale on my back," are you? You're just going to be sweating, going, "Push-ups."
But you notice that the guys on stage doing it, the one at the back wasn't doing proper push-ups.
Well, I just
he was only going down about 3 inches and going up like, "You fuck off, that's not a push-up."
You got Lithe Manbeard that came on the stage, and Aisha Tyler was talking about how muscly he was, and then they put him up against the chunkier man in a neckerchief. It's just what?
Yeah, that was fine though. I don't know. I think gamification of like exercising stuff is the kind of way you get like lazy fucks like me to do it. Like I've done push-ups before. For a while I had a bit of a thing where I thought, right, when I'm playing a game, if I die, that's a 10 push-up penalty. I'll do my 10 and I'll carry on. I think I played Deus Ex Human Revolution with it. I was doing all right. And then, I thought, oh, what if I do it with Dark Souls? Don't do it with Dark Souls.
No, I successfully did bro aerobics.
Really?
Dark Souls, where
Wow.
I'd lay down my summon sign at a boss gate, and then I start doing sit-ups. And the point that I was summoned, I would sort of play the game, and then I did my souls, lay my summon sign down again, start doing sit-ups, and it was quite good.
Praise the burn.
If I did sit-ups every time I died in Super Meat Boy, I would be ripped. I'd be ripped.
You'd be the henchest stomach that has ever existed, with a tiny head and arms on the end.
Yeah.
I think that same process with Dark Souls 2 of doing bro aerobics. If I was doing that in Dark Souls with the am I being summoned? No, it doesn't look like it. I'll lay it down again.
Oh,
maybe.
Christ, yeah, no, the gymnastics we have to do to get together in Dark Souls 1. Bloody Christ, man.
So yeah, then Ubisoft showed a game, and it's a game that made me cry the first time I saw it, and I did get very, very misty-eyed watching it again here, and that's Valiant Hearts. It just looks magnificent.
Oh, God, yeah, Laura did the same. I looked over and she was like, with a little tear in her eye. I was like, really? She went, yeah.
It just
looks great.
Wonderful. I love the art style. I love the fact that it focuses on the different characters and how this sort of dog ties them all together, and it just looks wonderful and really left of center. And if they continue doing these sort of games with the UbiArt engine, I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah, that's what it's made for.
Yeah. There aren't that many games based on World War One anyway, actually, because World War Two has been well documented by video games, but World War One tends to be the one they skip over. I think it's mainly because the guns in World War One were rubbish. So this style of game is well suited to that period, and also out of the two World Wars, World War One feels like the most senseless, the most pointless of the two, and so having that kind of like tone of look at all this death, look at all this pointless death because of this conflict, I think is a great way to have a game pitched for that period of time. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to see any more though. Like, I want to play it. Like, I want to play it. Like, don't show me anything else. Just let me play it.
I think they've pitched it very well and quite vaguely as well. It's just you're invested in these characters and you want to know more about them, but you don't really know a lot about the game and how it's going to play. So that's cool. So yeah, at this point, Yves Guillemot came on stage and stood next to Aisha Tyler, and it looked like a misguided reboot of Twins.
She is tall, isn't she?
She is tall, and he is a tiny man.
Tiny Frenchman.
Looks like he would make shoes. in.
What are you saying about shoemakers?
Yeah.
They're
Sorry,
all small, are they?
No, I watched the pilot episode of Biffo Vision yesterday, and I still have in my mind the little sketch with the elf that that old story where there was a shoemaker that barely got any material left, and he woke up one day and there was a pair of shoes on the table, and he woke up the next day and there was another pair of shoes on the table, and it then goes on to sort of so him and his wife formulated a plan, and they just get down the next morning and just made these giant mouse traps, like killed these elves, and then one of them just walks over to the corpse of one and sticks an American flag in its eyeball and then salutes. I don't know why that continues to amuse me, but it does. So yeah, they both proudly announced Rainbow Six House Fighter Woman Hostage.
Yeah.
Which seemed to go down
Rainbow Six Home Invasion.
Just went down a storm clearly. Although on Twitter, a lot of people were wondering where the previously announced game had gone, which
I think
which I think was canned.
Had to get completely canned and
Yeah.
retooled, and it's come back as this. I watched it. I thought it looked great. It's never going to play like that in a real game.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to sit there and go, right, now you go on that door, now you go in that now. We've got that boarded up now. I've sent my little robot in. No. People are going to jump in the top window and go, I've got a gun! Hey! Just shoot each other.
Well, it looked like the sequel to Counter-Strike we're never going to get. That's what it looked like to me. Very much like a counter-terrorist versus terrorist vibe going on there with the hostages and everything like that. So, yeah, it could be really interesting.
I did like the using of the hostages as human shield as well. I thought that was a nice little touch.
It was a bit where, before that, we seemed to just like reach down and grab the back of her neck and yank her up. And it was like, isn't that the person you're supposed to be protecting?
Yeah. It's a bit uncomfortable, that footage. But hopefully it will be better in the finished product. It's always really difficult talking about this stuff because I think it is unfair to judge stuff based on marketing material because so often the finished product is actually... Like we had that with Tomb Raider where there was the controversy over the sequence where it looked like a guy was about to rape her. And then actually in context it was actually an okay scene. It wasn't as bad as the initial footage led people to believe. This might be a case here where it's similar, where the footage they've chosen to show it off in a bad light. But that being said, I don't think I think it should be known that this isn't okay. I think we should be telling the developers this is a bit uncomfortable, just so that they know going forwards, okay, maybe we should change this so it's a little less
maybe just
creepy.
make it same animation, we're just, sorry. We've got, just hurry up.
Or just make the female hostage more human instead of just a meat flag.
Yeah,
would be nice.
Treat it with a bit of grace, perhaps, or consider that it's even beyond the gender, just that it's a person that's terrified.
Yeah,
and treat them with a little bit of
just capture the slag.
Yeah. Oh, Patrick, that was atrocious.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you think they need to take notes from Spelunky here? I think they need to have different things. So, like that time it was a girl. Next time it will be like a hunky guy in some pants and a little tuxedo.
Yeah, but
maybe a dog.
I don't think that's the answer, because Spelunky's answer was, instead of just objectifying women, we'll objectify everything,
including dogs.
Whereas I think the real solution is to humanize the hostage.
No, like, if keep objectifying.
Just go even further down it. So we've got Duke Nukem Forever's multiplayer, which was oh god, do you remember that? That was
it was interesting.
It was not interesting. It was horrific.
I've never played a Duke Nukem game, and at this point where I'm genuinely sort of gobsmacked by...
You don't know horror until you've played Duke Nukem.
No, it's not that. I'm just gobsmacked at your punchline back there to the point where I lost for words. So thank you. I don't know if you're going to edit that out or not.
That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first half of our E3 conference podcast. So to come, we've got PlayStation, we've got Nintendo, and our thoughts on our favourite games of the show. So Josh, will you please return for the second half, please?
Yes, I will. Yes,
we shall put that into action. So yeah, we'll speak to you soon. Thank you for joining us, and
if you like our stuff, remember Josh is from Cane and Rinse, one of the best podcasts that exists on the internet about the video games and in general. Yes. It's smart stuff, it's clever stuff, and if you're a smart, clever person, you'll like it too.
There we go, perfect trailer.
Yeah,
cool, awesome.
Right,
and I think ours is quite good too. So you listen to this, but you are so fine. But yeah, thank you everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That's a good ending. Strong ending, that. It's good.